Welcome to the Family Office, planning for the people who matter most.
Yeah, so we're going to her funeral tomorrow. I just found out yesterday. She actually passed on the 10th.
Wow, that's crazy. I'm going to reach out to her because I still have her number. It's just, we were talking about that. What one we were talking about? We were talking about that, I think last week, about just like the age where you're at with that age right now where you just start
third funeral in 2 weeks.
You just start to lose a lot of people. It's a shitty age to be at, by the way. It's just crappy, but it's never easy. It's never easy to go through any of that stuff or experience the loss. And unfortunately, as you get older, that just seems to be part more of life as you age, your friends, family, and things like that. So yeah, it's never easy. I was just having a conversation actually with Mary, and I was saying, yeah, you know, this habit that I've really been developing over the last couple of years is like, if, you know, for example, like you're watching a video, you're listening to a song, or you're doing something like that. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to stop and pause when like my child or my son or my daughter comes in the room and wants to show me something or talk to me, because that video or that song I'm trying to listen to, that's in a data center in a cloud somewhere. I can spin that up anytime I want. That moment that's happening right then and there, you can't get that moment to happen again. You know, that's not sitting on a data center somewhere. So I think just taking advantage of just slowing down sometimes and just really just, you know, everybody lives in like this crazy haste all the time because that's like the world we live in, but it's okay to be urgent about things. But at the same time, like really just kind of like
compartmentalize.
Yeah. Like just slow it down.
Think about Viola. How many more years is she going to be 6? This is it, man. This is it. Going to be 6 again.
Yeah, she'll be 7 this August. And I think about it and I say, damn, I remember getting her as a baby during COVID because she was born in August of 2019. So I remember sitting on the floor with her doing Zoom meetings in 2020, and she was 1 year old, 1.5 years old. And it's like, it's gone. It's so quick. So yeah, anyways, dude, the wildness like that is going on right now in the world is just absolutely crazy. I think today is like supposed to be a peace deal. Like I think Trump said he's close, or they're close, has been the news that's been coming out. That'd be nice to see, but I was pretty shocked by like, and I don't know, you know, I haven't seen a little bit. I've seen a little bit of it, but I was curious to know what your perspective of it is, and you even heard about it, was the death threats or the assassination scheme or plan for Ivanka Trump against Trump's daughter. Did you hear about that, or did you see that at all, or no?
No, I did not hear about that.
Yeah, so supposedly I think they caught the guy or something, but there was a whole plan and everything laid out to assassinate her in revenge for taking out like a dude or a general or something like that in Iran.
Soleimani. Yeah,
I think that might have been what it was for. Either way, it's like pretty scary stuff. So,
No
I mean,
doubt.
you think about that, but that just, I think, goes again to what I fear the rest of the world. Like, we don't do this kind of stuff. Like, this kind of stuff is not normal to see, this kind of stuff. And I guess in the modern world, or maybe it just went on more and more and we didn't see it. I think that we're living in an interesting time anyways, Len, because I think we see a lot more of the crap that went on in the world anyways. We just didn't see a camera everywhere because we have social media and cell phones that record everything. So I don't know where I feel on all the stuff that's happening in the world today, on whether I'm still 50-50 on it. I'm 50-50 on this kind of crap was happening anyways and we just didn't see it. And I'm 50-50 on, man, is it really getting worse? I don't think it's getting worse. I think it's just the same old crap and we just see more of it.
I think what it is that it's for the first time the threats are on U.S. soil from foreign actors. Because, like, if you think about it, what happened in Libya with Gaddafi, you know, that was a whole big thing that the United States arranged for him to get killed because he was starting to have more of a presence on the world stage. And the thing about Gaddafi is that his goal was to begin to unify the African countries, and he was starting to make headway. And then eventually word got out, and then he was killed. Then when you think about in Israel, when there were talks in Qatar, and they found out the location of the people that were doing the diplomatic conversations, and that place got blown up, and that person died. You know, the United States and Israel connecting together, and they took out 40 of their top leaders. And so I don't think these things have gone away. I think they've just come on foreign soil. I mean, because even with, you know, Trump calling the hit on Soleimani when during his first term. So these things are normal. They're just not normal on American soil. And then once it hits here, then I think it hits a little bit differently, because now these are people, because it makes us all feel vulnerable at this point. Because if they can hit somebody, that's high level like that, what happens to any one of us? Now, the good thing is that we're not in the public eye or anything, but that means that anybody on the planet is susceptible potentially. So
let me ask you this.
Uncertainty.
Is it that the bad guys are getting better, or is it that the good guys are getting worse? Which one is it? Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
I understand exactly what you're saying. I think it's that because of the prevalence of social media, because think about it, when you have Instagram and Facebook and all of these other things, what do? Oh, we announce to the world our location. When we go travel, we don't talk about it after the fact, because I remember, I've been so paranoid. I would tell about my trips after I got back home, because I didn't want anybody robbing my house while I was gone.
Right.
Product of growing up in the hood, I guess,
I don't know. I think that's something of growing up in the 80s. You didn't announce like you didn't announce, like you had the timers that were random. You didn't leave your voice, like you didn't change your voice recorder, right? Like you didn't alert people that you were gone, and you had someone come and watch your house. Mm-hmm. So I think that that's a product of growing up in the 80s. In fact, I just forced my kids. I didn't force them, because I don't have to force my kids to do anything. But I just watched The Great Outdoors with my kids, and they'd never seen that movie because they love to watch movies. And I'm like looking at it, I'm going, dang, I was your guys' age in this movie, right? Watching these adults do all these crazy things. And I'm watching it and I'm going, I haven't seen this movie in like over 10 years. And I'm watching it and I'm going, dang, dude, I get a lot of the satire in this movie now that I didn't get when I watched it as a kid. I don't like going, I think you're just a product of the 80s. You watched your back more on that kind of stuff. Maybe that was, and maybe it was the hood stuff. Maybe you did. Maybe it is a combination of those. It is. You are a little thuggish, Len. I mean, you kind of come.
Stop. But I'm just saying, we're all products of our environment, right? And kids now are a product of their environment. So what's the environment now? You have to tell where you are, what you're doing, because in real time, you want people to envy you and wish they were there where you are. But the flip side of that is, if somebody has something bad they want to do to you, they know exactly where you are, right? And they also know exactly where you are not. And I think that makes us all susceptible. So I think, given the amount of intelligence that foreign actors have on us, and also the information we give up, then I think there's a combination of those things, because like, even let's just say, Ivanka wasn't saying where she was, but who's to say that there weren't 100 other people that said, oh my gosh, I just saw Ivanka Trump in Times Square.
Such and such place. Yeah.
A bunch of pings. Exactly. It's very easy now, so I think it's a combination, to answer your question, of both. They're better and we've gotten worse. To me, it's so interesting to watch how you see how everybody interacts in the world today, because it's very different. I don't remember people walking around with as much security as they walk around with today. And I don't just mean like politicians. Like, you've gotten to the point now where you have business people that walk around with security. You got celebrities that walk around with security. Like, you remember back in the day, like you would see even presidents though, back in the day, you'd see them, they'd walk through crowds, right? Like JFK would walk through crowds, like Kennedy would walk through, or Reagan would walk through crowds. And then you started to see that taper off during the 90s. And then now it's like after 9/11, like, are you kidding me right now? Like, that doesn't happen. So you only see that really on the smaller local politician level. And even that is dangerous sometimes. But I think that a lot of politicians have actually really taken that to the extreme, where they all think they're gods now. I mean, realistically, if you're really looking at the world today, and this kind of maybe talks about how, we can lead into what we're talking about today anyways, which is, politicians and, how they take advantage of the system, because it really is evident today. I mean, back in the day when you and I were growing up, you wanted to have like movie star money, right? You wanted to be celebrity rich or athlete rich, right? Mm-hmm. Today, who wants to be athlete rich or movie star rich? You want to be politician rich today. The politicians are like, think about it, Led. The politicians are richer than the athletes today. Like, politicians are richer than most movie stars today. Like, Nancy Pelosi is richer than 90% of Hollywood movie stars. Like, that's incredible.
Like, I mean, what school of investing did she go to? That, or school of opportunistic timing, ultra realistic timing? Like, can I get the time machine? Or can I get the psychedelics that she does before she makes her stock trades with her husband? Because I want to know, dude. I just need to be on the know. That's it. I only want 5%. That's it. I'm only asking. I'll take 1%. I mean, you go into office and you come out $200 million richer. And that's just another example. I mean, you just had Eric Swalwell. You had all these stuff. You had Tulsi Gabbard that just resigned, which is huge. Mm-hmm. And the left is absolutely killing her, saying it's not because her husband has cancer. I mean, give me a break, man. Regardless of what the narrative is, have some decency. So, but why would you have decency for any politician when you really know who they are, right? Because I mean, these guys know who they are. I think that's why the media is so mean to politicians right now, or nice to politicians, or why they're in on it too, because they've all been around the same cesspool for so long. But anyways, that's where I'm at on it right now, Len. What's your thoughts on all that going around right now?
I mean, I think that when you look at just the overall temperature on politicians, I think from the population's perspective, we're really creeping towards having corrupt governments on both sides of the equation. And so when you think about corruption, you think about places outside of the United States. You don't think about voter corruption. You don't think about politician corruption where they're using their office for personal gain. But again, we talked about it before with the proliferation of all the information that's available and TV outlets and independent media that's out there and growing, we have access to more information. Before, I believe that it was probably going on, but probably to a lesser extent, I think because people had less access to opportunities. I think it's a combination of the fact that we have more opportunity to engage in corruption. And on the flip side of that, we also have a better ability to recognize it and see it and talk about it in real time. And so, yes, I agree. Congress and their usefulness with stocks and how great they are. You think, you know what, maybe they have some insider information, being sarcastic. But to me, when I look at President Trump and his family and the dealings they have, I think it starts at the top where you have to have the most accountability starting at the top. And then also Congress should also be held accountable as well. But I want to talk about a couple of things as relates to being accountable and how politicians are reducing trust because of their political situation. Like, for example, the Trump family had about $400 million they've made in gains from the crypto space. And so when you have these different coins and you're the president at the same time, there's so much opportunity for people to say, hey, we want in because the president obviously has a reason for these markets to go up. And the problem that kind of borders into corruption is when he started these meme coins, he gave people the opportunity to actually have a meal with him and to interact with him. And so when you have a position of power like that, I think there should be some guardrails around being able to do that, because not only that, but then his sons has dealings with the Saudi government and different, one of the foreign governments put money into Coinbase, $2 billion, where there was a fund that the Trump family was involved in. And so when you're using your political office for personal gain, especially as the president and people who are adjacent to the president, that's a problem. So what's the solution? Get a blind trust. Have a third party administrator, because I'm not saying there's a problem with investing in the market. But if you have a blind trust and people don't know that that the buys and the sales are associated with you, you can still make money. But the problem is when you don't have that blind trust acting as that buffer, it puts you in a position to have a higher level of scrutiny. So I really, really think there should be harsher laws and harsher penalties, because as we go into the next topic, I just think that especially as the president, there's so much you can do to line up your pocketbooks. And the fact that you were a billionaire before doesn't give you the okay to say, oh, because I'm a self-made man, I can now use my legislative and executive powers to continue to increase my riches.
I don't think that's what's happening with the Trump family at all. I know it could look like that, but I don't think that. I would look more closely at, like I said, Nancy Pelosi and Newsom and all these other guys before I would even think to even look at Trump.
Because you don't like them.
No.
Yes,
I'll explain it.
Chris.
No, I'll explain
Okay.
it. I'll explain it right now. It has nothing to do with liking or not. I think it all has to do with merit. And what I'm saying is that when you look at the data, Len, Trump is still the only president on both terms who's at a loss. I mean, he might leave this term with a positive. He is.
Are you talking financially?
Yes, financially. He's the only president that's at a loss. Now, this term, look it up. He's the only president. Look, in fact,
look it up.
Frayne, look it up. I will give you, Len, I can't even believe this came up because I didn't think it was going to come up. Meanwhile, I'm looking at Bill Gates' face and how he's spraying avocados with new types of poison. But at any rate, let me see if I could find it. If I can't find it, Len, I will definitely find it. But, man, I wish I could find it. But if somebody could find it for me, that'd be great. But at any rate, Trump is the only president that is at a loss in his income. I'll find it. I'll find it when on the next time when you're talking.
Okay.
But he's the only president so far at a loss. Okay, at a loss. And I really didn't know we were going to talk about this. I didn't think it was going to come up, but I got the data. I prepared for this. For this. I just got to find it. He's the only one at a loss. So I think what you're seeing right now is, you have a president that is heavily in favor of cryptos. He's crypto friendly. And his his Secretary of Treasury also understands it. Lutnick understands it. And they understand the world that's happening right now. They understand the changes happening right now. And then you also have Warsh, who just came in as the Fed chair, who understands crypto and is a little bit more favored for it. You see, the thing is Larry Ellison has been friends with Trump family for a very long time. So they're business buddies. So you don't think for a second they're working in that space. They don't understand the space. I mean, Eric Trump is actually in the crypto space and he's partnered with Grant Cardone. They work together. So I think what you're seeing is you're seeing legitimate business people doing legitimate business things in a space that could potentially look like it's not legitimate because they're in power now. They're in office right now. These guys, and here's why, Len. Think about it, Len. These guys have been making money before they were politicians. They were making money while they weren't politicians. They were making money while they were under indictment. The Trump family made money under every circumstance they've been thrown at so far for the last 20 years, 30 years. They've been, if you want to study, like if you were at Harvard Business or a business school, you ought to do a study on business resilience and study that family. I mean, you can't deny the resilience. You just can't. My thing is that they've been making money before office, post office. In fact, a lot of the stock trades.
That's what clouds your judgment.
But hold on. Nancy Pelosi and Newsom and all these guys that got into office before Obama, Biden, Clinton, these guys didn't do anything. They were community organizers. They didn't run big businesses, Len, before they got into office.
Here's the point that I think we're looking at through a different lens. The lens that you're looking at is from the standpoint of what were you doing pre-office and how did you use the office to make those gains? What I'm saying is, to what degree did you use your positional power in office to make those gains? And so I'm not in opposition to anything you're saying about Pelosi because, insider trading is definitely a potentially indictable offense. And I would agree with there being an investigation on her. What I'm saying that you're not processing the same way that I am is that I think you're over indexing from my perspective for the amount of financial gain that the Trump family made prior to office. Check this out.
I have the data for you. So who wants to share data first?
Go for it, because I have. I'll share what I have too.
Okay, Bill Clinton net worth before office 1.3 million, after 241 million.
Okay.
George W. Bush, that's Bush Jr. Before office 20 million, after 40 million. Now, they family as a whole was wealthy anyways, right? Barack Obama, this is a shocker right here. 1.3 million to 70 million. What happened? How did you get that money? Donald Trump, 3 billion before office, 2.3 billion after office. He lost money. Joe Biden, 8 million to 10 million. And we all know Biden has the most elaborate filtering, money laundering, layering, structuring, placement scheme out of anybody in the business. I mean, you want to launder money and structure money and place money. Nobody does it better than the Bidens do. And you talk about people making money, but Len, you can't bring up the Trump family without bringing up the Biden family first. You can't bring up the fact that Hunter Biden was on the board of companies and given all these sweetheart deals, and the guy has never built anything. The Trump kids weren't afforded stuff like that. These kids worked. I mean, you can't compare those. These guys are totally opposites. And by the way, last I checked, Len, there was no salacious photos of Don Jr. and no salacious photos of Eric and no salacious photos of Ivanka anywhere. And all of you look at all these guys. I mean, besides from Don Jr., who just got married again, right? And he's kind of like only been the shaky one relationship wise. You look at Eric Trump, the guy's winning. His wife, she was the former chair of RNC. You look at freaking Ivanka and Jared Kushner. I mean, you look at these guys and you go, dude, this is a well put together family and they're resilient. I just don't know how you look at them first under the microscope versus then you come at me and you say it's because I like them or don't like them or because I don't like Pelosi. Len, come on, Len, I'm basing it on merits. Okay, I'm basing it on merit. Tell me what you got, baby. Len, tell me what you got.
All right, so World Liberty Financial Crypto, okay, based on the report, the Trump organization has $802 million just in the first half of 2025.
And how is that different but hold on a second, Len, how is that different from Elon Musk? SpaceX is about to go public and they listed on their balance sheet a bunch of Bitcoin. It's like 820,000 Bitcoin. How is that any different? They're speculating the market just like anybody else would.
But the difference is, Chris,
they're favorable on crypto.
Elon Musk is not the president.
Right,
Elon
but I'm saying
Musk isn't using his positional authority
but how?
as a presidential figure.
I get what the murky water is.
Money.
I get what the murky water is. The murky water is that the Trump and Co. and Trump family are business people. And they said, ooh, crypto is going to be big. And they partnered with a big person outside of politics who was big in the space, who's proven in entrepreneurial activities, Grant Cardone. They all got together in the same room and went, hey, guys, let's do a crypto firm. They're in business together. And they timed the market right. By the way, they also took losses too. They took a bath during November and December when crypto fell. I mean, we're still in a crypto winter, right?
Okay,
or down.
Look at the whole Trump meme coin made $336 million. He wouldn't have done that had he not been the president of the United States. But so did
Iggy Azalea. So did all these other guys that had meme coins. Everybody made money on meme coins. In fact, Iggy Azalea is getting sued right now for that. Did you know that? And Trump always does that stuff, though, Len. Trump always does that, though. He has the sneakers, the cars, the coin. He brands himself. That's his brand. He sells stuff with his name on it. Len, people buy it. Why are you not outraged that people buy cigarettes still?
No, I am.
And Tucker Carlson sells nicotine now. Like it's healthy for you. I mean, think about that.
I don't like any of it. I'm just saying, like the same energy, though, like your energy when you talk about Newsom and when you talk about not Tulsi Gabbard, but Nancy Pelosi, it's a little bit different than when you talk about Trump. And I put them all in the same camp. I hold Trump to a higher standard only because he's the president of the United States. But the same disdain that I have for their unethical practices, I have for all of them. And so
I agree with you.
Is that okay? But no, you don't agree with me. You agree
But here's
that,
what.
that the part
Here's
that
where
you
it changes for me.
disagree with, Chris.
Here's where it changes for me, Len. Here's where it changes for me. I promise I'll shut up. Here's where it changes me. It changes for me in the merit and the effort. Like, Biden needed to get his dead ass to China as soon as he got into office, and he didn't. Trump did. That's what I'm saying. I look at the working results, and I look at what they're doing and the effort that they're doing. I don't see any of that. You know what I mean? So they're all ugly and they're both bad. There's no denying that. I am in the same camp with you that they're all disgusting. Okay. And that's a pretty harsh word to say. And I don't mean that in a way where I'm talking about the person. I'm talking about their actions, because ultimately when they're put in a position like that, they're tempted, right? We all would be. But what I'm simply saying is that when you look at the merit, you look at the effort, you go, damn, these are real working efforts to actually make a difference, not just make it believe like they're making a difference. You know what I mean?
Oh, I do. I understand what you're saying. What I'm trying to get at is there has to be more of an expectation based on the position and the power that the individual has. Like I said before, if I'm a pastor, there's certain things that I can't do that if I'm just a regular person. That's just the fact, because people look at me in that position and I have influence and I have power, and the things I do in the public space matters. So for example, let's talk about the next topic where you have Trump, who went after the government for $10 billion lawsuit, right? And they said, okay, we'll drop it. But in dropping it, what we want to do is we want to put together a $1.776 billion fund for people who have been wronged by the government. Now, how is that not a conflict of interest? You have the president of the United States suing the government that he's over, and then his attorney general making the slush fund, who used to be his personal lawyer. Come on, Chris. Now you gotta admit that's a bit shady. Wouldn't you agree?
I think it looks and sounds like...
I think it's a bit shady, Chris. I think it's a bit shady.
You do pretty good, Len. I think it sounds and it smells like justice well served. I'm just kidding. Len, I'm just kidding. Len, I'm kidding. Look. I understand that. But here's the reality behind it. I don't think that it is... I think it pales in comparison to the atrocities that are happening in other places. And I think that we can look elsewhere right now, because for the first time in a long time, there isn't somebody in the White House that's raiding the White House. I mean, they might be covering, and think about it. Well, for example, yes, when you're talking about that whole slush fund thing and whatever to protect people against wrongful government activity, I would like that, because maybe you might be on the other end of that one day. And wouldn't it be nice if something like a mechanism was like that there to protect you? Because here's what I think. Okay, remember, Trump, here's the problem that I don't think a lot of people understand. This is why nobody's been able to figure out Trump on the political side. And I think the business side for that matter too. Trump plays chess. He always plays the long game. So naturally, he's going to set something up like that, Len, because he's not going to be in office forever. So you don't think that these jackals that have this out for them are going to try to come for him again when he's out of office? Of course they are. So he's doing everything he can to circumvent the teeth that they're going to have when he leaves office again, because no matter what,
here's what the part that I didn't mention. You're talking about the part that I didn't mention, where they can't go and look at his financial dealings and do any investigation. That's the part you're talking about. Or
I'm talking about all of it. I'm talking about all of it. Because all right, seriously, Len, think about it for this way. Okay. Do you think the Biden family did some shady stuff?
Yes.
Why are they not being investigated? Why are they not being investigated? Okay, but why aren't they?
Because that's the whole point of this conversation.
Why aren't they though? Why aren't they though?
Politicians have been able to get away with murder and act with impunity.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
And
You're absolutely right.
This is where I would this is where I would agree with you, Chris, is that when President Trump came in the first time in office, he said he was going to drain the swamp. And what that meant to the American people is that he was going to go in because he wasn't bought by anybody. He was going to use the fact that he was already a made man to go in there and shake things up so politicians couldn't act shady anymore. But what he did is he took it to a whole nother level.
I don't know how you see it that way.
Bro.
Wait, hold on.
Don't.
Then how do you explain this to me? Okay. I don't know how you don't see it this way, Len. Here's the thing. I don't know why you don't champion more for him. And here's the reason why I say that. You're absolutely right. Politicians do a bunch of crooked stuff, and you're absolutely right. They should be held accountable for it. And he was in office. And guess what? He got out of office, and he was fully investigated, persecuted, dragged through the mud, over-exacerbated, indicted 80 million motherfucking times. All the kitchen sink that was thrown at him, Len, and they still couldn't convict him or get him on anything. Impeached 3 times. Nothing. No evidence. Robert Mueller investigated him.
He was found guilty 34 times.
Len, you know, yeah, but
counts.
Len,
the only reason why he didn't serve time is because he became
Robert Mueller did an He was held guilty on 34 counts because they knew they could get anybody. You can get anybody on quid pro quo. You can corner anybody on a quid pro quo, and everybody does it. Len, the reason why no one investigates Biden or Clinton or Obama's or any of these guys is because they're all dirty. And the reason why they do it to Trump is because they know he's not as dirty as them and they need a scapegoat. That's the way I see it. So if you can get a guy that's in presidential office, gets out of presidential office, dodges impeachment, gets investigated, gets indicted, still they can't get anything on him, walks away scot-free, gets reelected. And by the way, not just by the Electoral College, also the popular vote, which everybody on the left always likes to say when they lose, oh, the Electoral College it's not legitimate unless you win popular. He won all of it, plus the swing states, plus the Senate, plus I don't know how you don't look at that and go, well, wait a minute. Hold on a second. He walked through fire for us. And I'm not saying that like biblically or something like that, but the guy earned his stripes, Len. He was beat to death, almost bankrupt. In fact, I firmly think that like you read Robert Greene's Laws of Power and
of War,
okay,
Laws of Power.
When he says you got to put yourself on death ground, right? Death ground. I firmly believe, Len, that the Trump family was on death knell, and that if Trump did not win re-election, they were finished. And I think the whole family came together and they went, look, guys, even down to Barron was involved, and everyone got together and they all rallied behind it because they knew they were overly aggressively put out of business. Chase Bank debanked them because they were pressured by the political adversary. Like, that's the shady crap that we ought to be mad about. You don't see us going around like we the other side's not doing that to the other side. Enforce the way that it was being done onto the other side. That's the thing, Len. I'm like, where you not see that at? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on it.
Okay. I'm not. I think that we both just have different perspectives and how we analyze the facts that are out there. So where I'm coming from with this whole thing, Chris, is looking at the institution of the United States democratic system, right? Where you have the executive, legislative, and judicial branches, where they all serve as a check on each other. So if you've got corruption in one arm of the government, there should be another arm checking that. And so far, the only branch of government, from my perspective, in this instance, when we're talking about high level politics, that has been the most intact is the judicial branch, because each judge has, they have to be a part of the bar association. And so if they do something where the bar, being an external not governmental, but, in another agency that holds them accountable, there's a different degree of ethics that they have to operate under, because there's this external body that serves as an additional check. And so because of that, lawyers and judges, especially as it relates to Supreme Court judges and different judges that rule on governmental issues of corruption, they can't do that because they'll get kicked out of the bar and then they're done. So here's my point, though. My point is that right now, our system of democracy is on a slippery slope that's continued with this administration. The slippery slope has been people get elected to office and they use their office for personal gain. No, not one time when you said, hey, Biden's this, Biden's that I said, oh no, Chris, they played. I said, yeah, you're right. They should be investigated. And so the reason why I'm saying we should hold them to the highest standard is because the moment the public at large loses trusts in our governmental system, we're no different than any other country that's engaged in civil war, where now you've got warring factions, and then you've got the might that ends up trying to rise up and do coups and regime changes without a peaceful transfer of power. This all, Chris, hangs in a very delicate balance. And that's the part that I wish that you would see from my perspective, is that the more this delicate balance keeps getting pushed further and further away from what we can all see with our two eyes as being rightful actions and just actions that should be happening, but we don't see that, the more we start to look at the government that's supposed to be our leaders side-eyed and say, you know what? I don't trust this. I don't trust this process. I don't trust these people. And how much more can we stand on that? I believe the only reason why there hasn't been more strife and more, escalation of activity amongst people and amongst different factions is that we're comfortable. We, at the end of the day, we still have the number one economy in the world. We still have the number one lifestyle as an aggregate. There's other countries that have a higher, per capita income and stuff like that. But as an aggregate, we have the highest quality of living. And because of that, we can say, you know what? I see what's going on TV. I don't like it. But you know what? At the end of the day, I can still eat. I can still put a roof over my head. I can still go on a vacation. So I'm good. Take that stuff away, bro. And then we don't have the same level of comfort. Then we begin to redirect our anger. And then now we've got a bigger problem on our hands. So in closing, all I'm saying, Chris, is that we need more politicians as a whole. I throw Donald Trump at the top of that because he's the president. Who's ever the president next, I'm going to put that person at the top of that heap as well. Is that governmental officials who are supposed to act on behalf of the people, by the people, for the people, need to get their act together. Because if we continue to slip financially, economically, and all of those things, this is going to be a tinderbox that goes just like that.
I am totally on the same page with you as far as all that. I just don't think that he's going about it the same way everybody else is going about it. I just don't. I don't think he can be roped into camp. Is there some sweetheart deals happening? Is there some good timing happening? Of course. There's no way to prevent that from happening because he's already in business. When you look at it, he already has a business. He still has a business. He's still generating income outside the business. He's not taking a presidential salary. So I look at that and I go, okay, cool. That's different from his predecessors because his predecessors didn't do that. No, you can't say that for his predecessors.
That's
so
true,
that's what I look
at. It still
at.
Doesn't make his actions right.
Right. I'm not saying his actions are right, but what I'm saying is that his actions are better than his predecessors. That's what I'm saying. What I'm simply saying is that number one, you get what you get. It's out in the public. He's not hiding anything. You know exactly who he is and what he's doing to the most degree, as much as he possibly can be transparent. And secondly, he's doing far less worse things than his predecessors did. So to me, it's a win. Things are going, to me, from what I look like, in the right direction. Now, do I agree with the way everything's done? No, but I'll never agree with the way everything is being done. It's impossible. I just think that if I'm looking at stuff, I would immediately look at the fact that to me, that's why Spencer Pratt is so popular. Spencer Pratt is so popular, I think, because he's looking at all the things that politicians need to look at. Like, for example, what's going on with the gas spill or the oil spill or the pipeline spill or something that's going on in Southern California right now. You know what I'm talking about, right? Where's the money going?
Yep.
Where is the money going? How is it? Newsom likes to get on and say, we've got the fifth largest economy or fourth largest economy in the entire world. Okay, great. So you're telling me that in the fourth or the fifth largest economy in the world, pipelines break? That's the kind of infrastructure you have? See, my eyeballs go there first. My eyeballs don't go to what Donald Trump's doing. My eyeballs go there first because that to me is waste. That to me is the irresponsibility. That to me is the hubris. That to me is the kick in the face of the taxpayer and of the citizen of the people of the United States, worse than what Donald Trump's doing. So that I don't disagree with you, Len. I don't agree with everything he's doing. I just simply think that I don't look at what he's doing first. I look at what Karen Bass and what Newsom and what all these other, and Swalwell and all these other guys are doing, and Pritzker and all these other guys, because in the reality, here's what it is. You may not like Ron DeSantis. You may like Newsom better. But at the end of the day, who states better? Business, safety, stats, money, all of it. It's not even in comparison. California is getting destroyed by Texas and Florida. Why? Because they have good executive leadership. Do I agree with everything that DeSantis does? No. Do I agree with everything that Abbott does? Absolutely not. I don't. But when I look at it from a top-down, all-around 360 picture, the job's getting done. And it's not getting done with those other guys. And they're all playing the same dirty game. But I'll take the guys over here that get shit done versus the guys over here who don't get anything done. Tell me and gaslight to me that things are getting done, and then rob me and steal me in the background. And then once they're done robbing me and stealing me, they got to tell me then that I got to pay more to protect myself from getting robbed and stealed on top of what I already paid to protect me to get robbed and stealed when I shouldn't have get robbed and stolen anyways. Oh, and then they're going to virtue signal to me that I'm an angry white man and that I should get re-educated somehow. See, that's the problem where I draw the line on it, Len. That's where I draw the line because I'm not getting that crap from the current administration. I'm not. What I'm getting is, hey, America's back, baby. And we're not going to take anybody's crap anymore. We're not going to take anybody's crap anymore. And you saw that. You saw that on the world stage. Putin may have gone. Everybody wants to talk crap and say, oh, Putin went and look at the reception and compare apples to apples and all this crap. Right? About, oh, Putin went to China right after the United States and right after Trump. And I didn't see Putin show up with an entourage like Trump did. Oh, wait, because Russia doesn't have that. And neither does China. Why? Because they're communists. And that shit doesn't work. But you know what does work? American brute, brash, unapologetic. I don't care that I'm in your face. We're getting this done. And that's the way the world works, because if we hadn't gone in and done that during World War II, everyone would be speaking the Deutsch right now. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm just crazy, Len. But that's just the way the world, I see it. Because,
okay.
Yeah, anyways. I don't agree with any of this stuff, Len. I don't, but
we definitely see the world differently, and that's okay. And that's why these conversations are good, because now you know what it feels like to be called an angry fill in the blank when that's not necessarily true. And I disagree with it because I think a lot of people on the far left, they're using white men now as, a butchering block to make them feel guilty and stuff like that. Look, I'm not with any putting anybody outside of what's really going on from their perspective. Like, I don't like being called an angry black man who only wants to talk about race. And I know now that you are starting to hear what it feels like from the left to call you an angry white man. Neither are right. But
right.
What I'm saying, getting back to the whole idea of using positional power for personal gain, I think we really have to be very careful about how we hold the people we elect to office accountable. Speaking of being elected to office, man, you saw the results in Kentucky. Massey, who's one of the champions on the right for the Epstein files, he gets voted out of office. I'll tell you, Chris, I was super surprised, man, because I just thought that he was really popular and that, because he had support from the right and the left because the Epstein files was this issue that's not partisan. But he gets voted out of office when Trump he endorses the other guy, Ed something. Remember when Epstein? I mean, sorry.
I think it's a total. I think it's a total sham. I think it's a total sham. And I've talked about this before, and I don't want to get too deep into this rabbit hole because I don't want to call into question anything. But he's too much of a nuisance for anybody's agenda. And the problem is that he's too principled. He's too principled, and if you're too principled, you can't exist in the world of politics, unfortunately, today. And that's sad. That's sad because those are the types of people, those are the types of politicians I think we need in office. I think we need more people like him. I'm a fan. I don't like when certain things, but I'd say I was 80% there with most of what he had going on. And I think it's a total sham. I think he was forced out of office. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Because now that's like the last, like, what was it? Marjorie Taylor Greene, him, you're losing all of the people that were the most outspoken about that specific topic. And I just think that they were told they got to leave. They were kindly escorted out with security, Len.
Mm-hmm. Get your box. You're out of here.
Get your box.
The person's name was Ed Gallrein. Ed Gallrein. Gallrein. So that's who Trump. He's the one who Trump endorsed him. So to me, what this says, bigger picture, is not just about Marjorie Taylor Greene stepping down, not Massey being out primaried. What it's
Tulsi Gabbard stepping down.
Yes. What it's saying to me is that people who have a voice in politics, who have bipartisan perspectives on certain really strong issues, and in this case, when we're talking about the Epstein files, there are very powerful people who are in the crosshairs of being taken out.
Yeah.
And so issue after issue after issue has pushed this story down further and further. And because Massey was a champion of getting the Epstein files exposed, powers that be, put him in a position where he's going to get unelected. Now, I have a feeling that he's going to run for president in 2028. I think he.
You think so? You think so?
I think so. I don't think he has a chance to win, but I think he's
I don't think he does either.
To be a person that puts his name at least in the hat to run, and it's just disheartening to me because if you think about kids being put in those situations, I'm trying not to use the words just because of YouTube word policies, but you know what I'm talking about when they're put in.
I know I'm going to get fined so fast. I already know it.
So I just think that it's a bipartisan issue, don't you? Like, we should all be unanimously in agreement with the fact that kids shouldn't be, RAPED. They shouldn't be in a position where they're trafficked. And I think, to me, in my mind, from a moral and ethical standpoint, it is such a black and white case. And so when you see all of these shenanigans happen behind the scenes, man, it just reduces my level of respect and trust for the position of people in power that are not doing anything actively and vociferously about this.
You just look at the voter sentiment and trust, and it's just degraded, right? It's never gotten any better. It's consistently gotten worse as the years have gone by. It has not gotten any better. It's consistently gotten worse. And that's the problem that we all look at it here today. It's like everybody's looking at it and going, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. But I think that when you look at Massey and his situation, which is unfortunate, I don't think that you can be in his position in politics today. I don't think you can. I don't think you can exist I don't think you can.
I agree with you. What do you mean?
I just don't think that you can exist the powers that be on both sides of the spectrum, whether it be the right or the left, are so entrenched, so connected, and so powerful now at this point, Len, that it is impossible to be a centrist. It is impossible to be a common sense politician in the middle where you're going to make decisions and you're going to make actions on the best interest of the people. I just don't think that it's possible anymore. I think we've gotten so far away, and we've gotten so, because you got to pick a side. It's so binary today. You absolutely have to pick a side. You're either on this side or this side, and if you're not, then it's either here or here or here. You're either red or blue. You're either gay or you're straight. You're either black or you're white. Like everything has become so freaking binary that you have to pick a side, and it's become so filtered down to that way that it's so difficult, because you have to combat so many people that know so many people that are connected so many times over in all categories that how could you? How could you? No, that's fine. I mean, how could you? How could you make any type of progress in that environment today? Because everybody's against you. I mean, because these guys are so established, they don't want it to change. These guys are so established, they don't want it to change. Nobody wants it to change. They're both screwing each other, and nobody wants it to change.
And it's so. Yeah, no doubt. Because like if you look at John Fetterman on the other side of the aisle, right? A lot of times he catches heat from his side because he sees a lot of things that the Republicans see. You know, and I understand that sometimes you may be in a district where even though you represent one party, but you need to speak like you're from the other party to get reelected. I get that. But just as a principle, you should be able to go and represent the voice of your people combined with your own personally held convictions and be respected for that. But the person who's spineless, that leans back and forth and they just go with the sign of the times and the tide,
right?
I don't respect them. And I think that's what Massey's catching on his side. And it's unfortunate because when you look at champions for good, that should be the norm and not the exception. But unfortunately, that's kind of the opposite nowadays. And so I just really hope that we can begin to, over time, get more central, because like you said, and Ray Dalio said this, he said, you know, when you look, because we're in stage 5 of 6, when you look at the collapse of the New World Order or those long debt cycles, is that stage 5. And when it goes into stage 6, people coalesce into their own groups, and those people in the middle, they get killed from both sides, because you either have to be polar right or polar left. And if you're middle like us, we get shot from both sides, man. So it's unfortunate.
Fetterman's an interesting topic, Len, because I was not a Fetterman fan when he first was running. I liked Dr. Oz. And I think I'm actually glad that Dr. Oz didn't win, because I think Dr. Oz is more well suited in the position he's doing right now in the administration. And I think Fetterman is a better position in the House, or he's Senate, right? He's Senate, right? Fetterman's Senate?
He's in the House.
He's House. Okay. I think he's better there.
I'm sorry. He's a U.S. Senator from Pennsylvania.
He is Senate. Yeah. He's better in the Senate. And the thing is that I didn't like him because I didn't like him. See, Len, I didn't like him because of the look, right? Oh, he had a stroke. He wore his hoodies. He's the decorum, right? He doesn't look the part.
That's right.
Exactly, right? But then he gets in the office and I start to see his merit and I go, holy crap, he's more like a Kennedy Democrat, and then, or maybe even a Reagan Democrat, than he is anything else. He's actually a pretty good politician. Because why? Because he's actually voting and understanding. Yeah, he's understanding. Wait a minute, these policies affect people. I know these people. I know these policies. I know how this affects people. And I think that that's where a lot of people don't understand is that they vote for this stuff, and this stuff affects them, whether they think it does or not. It affects them. So I'm a fan of Fetterman.
Here's the thing for me. Like, I'm not a huge Fetterman fan, but I respect him because he votes his convictions, and he doesn't worry about towing the political line. Like, I think his views on Israel right now are, history's going to look and say that's wrong. Right. I think when you look at, immigration, he's definitely aligned more with the Republican Party. But, for me, I think my views on immigration is probably align more with the Republican Party because I'm really about immigration, but I'm about legal immigration and making sure that we vet people who come to the United States because every other country does that. I think we should hold people to the same level of accountability. Now, where I part ways is where you take the children, regardless of how their parents came, and you rush them out of the country regardless, because Obama did it a lot too, but Trump did it a lot. And I don't want to, harp on this topic here. So anyway, when we talk about just different politicians like Fetterman and Massey, for me, people having their own brains are people, even if I don't agree with all of their positions, I like integrity. I don't care about what your beliefs are, what you vote on and what your record is. If you are a person that has integrity and you are voting your conscience, I'm with that. Like one thing, speaking of, talking about Fetterman and his position on Israel, what I've seen a lot, and I know that a lot of people get in trouble for this, but when you go and you look at the amount of money that gets donated to politicians from like AIPAC and stuff like that, and then you see how they vote and how they speak about Israel, like I don't like that because that means that another foreign entity is dealing with United States affairs, and I'm not okay with that. But overall, I want somebody in office that can't be bought. I don't want that. I don't want a person in office that's not going to vote their conscience. And I don't want a person in office that's not going to vote based on what they're hearing from their constituents. If they can't do that, they shouldn't be in office because that's a cornerstone of what a fully functioning democracy is. And that's the way that you have a peaceful transfer of power. But when you get people that come in, they operate out of their own self-interest, and then they start to lose trust of their electorate, and then they start to lose trust of the entire country. That's a problem because when you look at Congress, I think the last time that I took a look at one of the studies that said, I think it was like a 13% approval rating of Congress as it relates to their trustworthiness. That is a problem. And so I just hope that during this midterm election cycle that people will go out and get more people elected into the House and the Senate that more reflect their views. And those people, when they get in office, will operate accordingly. Now, do I think that'll happen? No. But you can always dream, man. You can always dream.
But anyways, if you like this stuff, go ahead and like and subscribe and comment. We would appreciate that. And with that being said, Len, happy Memorial Day. Thank you for all those who served our country. We appreciate you, and we have the utmost honor and respect to you. And we'll see you on the next one. Take care, Len.
Conversation has given you clarity on your next steps. Please share this episode with someone who's walking the same path. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss future episodes. And remember, planning ahead isn't just prudent, it's an act of care. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on The Family Office.